Welcome to the Digital Government Podcast. Tune in to discover the future of governance and ways of getting there.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Digital Government Podcast of E-Governance Academy with your usual host, Federico Plantera. I'm a journalist, sociologist, and researcher today with the pleasure of talking about Ukraine's approach to digital service development, delivery, the organizations that underpin it. We're going to talk about the Digital Competence Centre and how basically it does represent a model for of collaboration that led eventually to the success that we see today in Ukraine's capacity of delivering high-quality services to the citizens. And we're going to talk about it today with Irina Zabolotna, who is the head of the Department for the Implementation of Electronic Services at the Ministry of Digital Transformation, and another long title. At DIA, she is the head of the Digital Accessibility and Inclusivity Working Group. So, Irina, long titles, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, everyone.
And together with Irina, there is also Mikhailo Korneyev from, I could say, from the side of E-Governance Academy, let's say, the side of the relatives, as if it's a little bit of a wedding. Mikhailo is a senior expert on information technology at E-Governance Academy, and indeed, he's joining us today also for the first time, first feature in the podcast.
Thank you, Federico. Hello, everyone.
So, as we said, we're talking about the Digital Competence Centre and what is its role, and in general and a bit more at large, what has been basically Ukraine's approach to the delivery of public services, but also what were some of the theoretical foundations, let's say, maybe the cultural elements, maybe the practices that have been embedded, let's say, in the way that services are delivered and accessed in Ukraine. But Irina, I would say that we can definitely start from definitions, let's say. That's always one of the best way. So I would say let's introduce our listeners to the Digital Competence Centre itself. I would say as an introduction that the Digital Competence Centre has also been partly initiated, let's say, by as part of the DT4UA project, which is implemented by Governance Academy. So, Mikhailo, I'm already telling you that I will involve you as well in adding something about it. But Irina, let's introduce the Digital Competence Centre. What is it? What does it do? And what is its mission?
First of all, I would like to say that this center was created together with EDA team, and the main idea why we should have such a center in our ministry is that we would like to create sustainable environments. Of course, we are very ambitious. We would like to create some cutting-edge solutions for Ukrainians, but we understand that we need to create such a sphere that will be lasting, I hope, forever, and even next generations that will lead digitalization in Ukraine have good background. That's why we have created such a center. I'm leading Center of digital inclusion in Ukraine, and now it's very important topic. We need to create convenient services for all Ukrainians, and we have created a group of people who obtain a lot of knowledge, who created some very easy materials to share, and also we are promoting such ideas among other governmental agencies. And for sure, it's important. Sustainable development, it's our future, and such a center can help us to create very strong ground.
But Irina, it seems that already, like based on the titles that I used to introduce you, it seems that in any case the Digital Competence Centre is what is the institutional umbrella or arrangement, let's say, where it falls? In the sense, I get the feeling that it's part of DIA, but it's also connected to other agencies, right?
Yes, it's connected with other agency, but the main platform where it was created is State Enterprise DIA, and it was chosen, I think, because we have a lot of knowledge that we would like to spread among all agencies in Ukraine, and even if you have any thoughts to create some workshops, Ukraine, Estonia, with such, we will love to share this experience with you and receive your experience.
In terms of experience and sharing experience, Irina already mentioned that the center has been created in collaboration with eGovernance Academy. And so, Mikhailo, I'm referring to you now and I'm turning to you to basically, before we get into talking about what is this approach to service development and delivery in Ukraine, what basically has been eGovernance Academy's side, let's say, of the equation in this process? And also, what were the ways that EGA has supported the launch of the Digital Competence Centre?
Yeah, thank you for your question one more time. Hello to everyone. And what is EGA's role? EGA has implemented more than three national projects in Ukraine, starting from eGov for Ukraine, then it was EU for Digital UA, and now we implement in DT for UA project. The idea of the creation of the Digital Competence Center was born in EU for Digital for UA project, and first of all, it was like a concept note for establishment this center, and in DT for UA project we already done it with strong communication with Ministry of the Digital Transformation and also State Enterprise DIA. So the role of the EGA, like an implementator partner of the DT for UA project, is not only to give some money for the state enterprises, but also to share the expertise, international expertise in developing services, in implementing services, of course, in creating some legal documents like methodology of service reengineering, etc., etc. And also our experts, international EGA expert, deeply involved in creating not only e-services itself, but the background for the creation and establishment of new services, digital infrastructure, and also of implementing these services and popularizing them within the people of Ukraine.
Yeah, because exactly for the listeners' benefit, I would say and add to this that exactly the primary goal of the Digital Competence Center is exactly to accumulate and disseminate, let's say, this knowledge and these best practices, not just among the government organizations, but as well as a work of awareness, let's say, as a work of knowledge about all the possibilities, let's say, that Ukraine's digital state offers to citizens. All of these are part of the goals of the Digital Competence Center, which then stretches, let's say, also beyond the realms of the working of the government itself, let's say. Like it's out there in the society. And it's out there in the society, I think, also because the name of the unit, for example, that Irina, you are that you're part of, the digital accessibility and inclusivity, testifies, let's say, this sort of like commitment. Indeed, in fact, the Digital Competence Center was created in December 2024, if I'm not wrong. Mikhailo and Irina, you will correct me eventually on the dates if it applies. But as of today, and we're recording this podcast, that is basically the end of February, beginning of March 2025, in the Competence Center, there are different working groups. There is the working group on the development of electronic services. There is one on the standardization of the legal and technical documents. We will get to this. I have a question about this. The digital accessibility and inclusivity working group, and also one about the development of AI tools that can enable and enhance this service delivery. But Irina, I would say then, could we maybe give a snapshot of how a service implementation process begins and then is carried out within this unit, And in general, about that also, what are the approaches, what are the thoughts and the considerations that go into the life cycle of implementing a service as part of Ukraine's digital state environment?
I can talk a lot about it because it's my sphere and my love. And always, at first, we have an idea. Crazy idea that we need to create a very convenient service for people, and all people in Ukraine will understand how to use it. People will know that you can find it on a DIA platform or in DIA app or DIA web portal. And after idea, after this moment of joy, we need to work a lot. First of all, we need to analyze legislation. What do we have? What we should change? How we should re-engineer all this process. When we have this time to analyze and to create new scheme to make service easy and even automatic for people, we need to analyze which data do we have, and do we have a good register on a state agency who provides such a administrative service, and we need to understand, do we need to improve their backend to start create such a service in DIA. After magic with legislation, after our new BPMN scheme, where we have our ideas how to create digital service, and you have only 5 screens where you need only proofread all information that person will receive from state registers. We work with our development team. Of course, they know some kind of magic to create in such a deadlines very high quality services. Then we have a process of implementation, beta testing of the services, and continuous process of improving. We understand that we can create some service for a certain situation. For example, in the beginning of the full-scale invasion in Ukraine, we understood that we have a few months to create additional services for EDP, internally displaced people or person. And for sure, we created a very convenient way to share information with our state and to ask for help for such a people. And all these stages that I have mentioned, we passed for few weeks and share such a solution for Ukrainians. And each new service has the same stages for creation and to get in the app.
And for what concerns your unit specifically, which is exactly about accessibility and inclusivity, aside from taking into account exactly the needs, especially in the current context and following the full-scale invasion on Russia's side in Ukraine, do you, in terms of inclusivity and accessibility, is there also a moment when the citizens are engaged in the process of developing a service? Or is rather, let's say, something that exactly due to the situation of difficulty and having to do things fast in order to respond to necessities fast, then inclusivity and accessibility are rather, let's say, concepts that you yourself are taking into account internally?
Accessibility now for Ukraine is a must. We're trying to create all our services, we're doing our new services accessible. Of course, you will get plus some time before you launch the product, because you need to test accessibility, digital accessibility. But we are listening our users. We have a lot of opportunities to receive comments from them. We have quality assessments. We have questionnaire after each administrative service process. We collect data from media, from social media. We analyze it. We making polls. Sometimes we giving people opportunity to choose name of new service, for example, or to receive feedback about design, or receive some results about demand among Ukrainians, what they would like to see in DIA first, because we have very ambitious plan to digitalize all administrative services, but we understand that we have some capacity and we need to analyze information from different sources and, of course, take into account our users.
Mikhailo, I would turn to you because basically we've just mentioned the topic of quality, no? And like the quality of services, the quality of the feedback as well. The feedback also returns, let's say, an analysis, a first-hand analysis of the quality of a service in terms of accessibility and inclusivity. But then I would ask you also, exactly considering your role from the e-governance academy side, let's say, what is it that makes a public service a quality public service?
Good question. First of all, it's a good quality of the data from one side, from the state side. You should provide the quality register data for developers to go through the good services. But if we talk about service itself, the good services is the services that are used by the people, and people are deeply involved in using these services. It's not only about the 5 stars methodology of assessment the services, but if you have maybe any kind of services that are used by 1 million, 2 million of your people. So I think that's very good services. And speaking about the role of the Ministry of the Digital Transformation, it all begins with the design, not only design itself, but service design. We try to study a lot from the Gov.uk because we have a one-stop shop like DIA portal and DIA application. It's for different reason used by people, but anyway, and it's all about implementation, it's all about the usage, and it's all about the usability. And starting from the 2019, the level of using the electronic services increased so much that we are really proud of it. And DIA is one of the most popular word using since the unfortunately COVID time. But anyway, Ukraine in that time was the first European country that started the COVID certificate that was recognized by EU member states.
Thanks actually for mentioning the COVID times, because maybe, considering the focus that and also the attention, the relevance, let's say, that Ukraine's digital state has enjoyed and garnered in the past years, maybe listeners or some might think that the digital state in Ukraine is sort of like a quote-unquote invention of the current difficult times. But actually, it isn't that way, because the journey of the digital state in Ukraine dates back to 2019, 2020. And it was in 2020 that we had the pandemic. And it was during the pandemic that Ukraine was already one of the states that had, let's say, if not the infrastructure or all the platforms already there in place, at least a direction in mind, in that sense, of where to go, how a service, the fact that services should be accessible digitally, the fact that people might not always exactly be able to go somewhere to access a service, but actually would do it maybe from in the way that it's easiest to them. And that way is exactly using our mobile phones, which that I'm waving right now. Listeners cannot see, but I will mention it for them. And Irina, to get back instead to the Digital Competence Centre itself, I have said that there are different working groups. No, I'm not going to list them again, but there are about 4. And a question about that is then how do the working groups interact with each other in order to bring a service to life? And at the same time, in that same logic and dynamic, how do the working groups or how does the competence center itself interact, communicate, and work with the different ministries in order to bring about domain specific services that are relevant to different policy areas, such as economy. For example, we spoke of banking, such as healthcare, such as driving licenses, and so on and so on.
I think time to mention AI has come, and I will give my own example. Now I work a lot with a group of people, group of experts who are experts in AI field because I have demands to boost our administrative services using AI instruments. For example, my team has special chatbot for business to give different information, advices, and to interact with business who are using DIA services. And I would like to reduce amount of time where my team should write down the same answers to different people about our services. And now my team working with our Center of Competence who are experts in AI. At AI, and we are trying to find the best solution how we can implement AI in our special chatbot Natalka. Very interesting name, but this name is our colleague. She inspired us to create such a helper.
Because she had the answers to everything, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you are right.
Of course.
She is. And we always share our expertise in such fields, but sometimes we need help of each other. Also, the special group with experts of AI spreading information and creating workshops, events, some special sandboxes, I hope so, to spread information about opportunity to use AI for other governmental agency and even for business.
I think it's a good and fitting example, not just because we had to mention artificial intelligence at some point, but also because that's one of the elements that fit into the Innovation Development Strategy 2030 for the government of Ukraine as well. Mikhailo, I would get to you instead to ask you about a practical example, in the sense. If you were to think of a service, let's say, that has been developed, put out, and of which you have seen the entire, let's say, life cycle of its production and of its publication, let's put it this way, pick one. Would you like to illustrate maybe how this path, let's say, looks like? You can pick your favorite. If you have a favorite digital service, let's say, you can definitely start with that. But give us exactly like put it before our eyes, let's say, like give us a practical view of with a specific case how this process and life cycle takes place.
Yeah, of course, but firstly, let me explain you a little more about internal structure of the Competence Center, because it consists not only from working groups, but also have a strategic board that consists of the deputy head of the Ministry of the Digital Transformation and ruled by deputy head of the Ministry of the Digital Transformation, Valeria Ianan, and talking about cooperation of the Digital Competence Center with the other authorities and also with the other projects. Competence Center is like a back end for all actors that involved in digital transformation processes, and everybody who involved in these processes could send a request to the DCC. Let me name Digital Competence Center in shorter way. Yep, and
Yes, please. Thank you.
of course. Yep, and that's it works. That strategic board makes some decision and let a working group to develop or some legislation or some processes or some business analysis. And come back to your main question about the life circle of e-services. Now we have not a problem but an issue how to help and support veterans family and the family who unfortunately lost their friends, their relatives during the wartime. And in Ukraine we trying to started a lot of services for veterans, and one of them, the last one, was not services supported by the EGA, but nevertheless it's very important. It's like a veterans way or something like that. Firstly, we started from the business analysis of the existing data in registers, and tried to figure out what data we need to provide the services in most automatic way without involving people, especially in such a hard lifetime situation. Yep.
What is the data that you looked into? Let's bring it up also like this side, because actually the case of the veterans path, let's say, like the veterans way that we're talking about, it's a very specific one. So I'm assuming that there is like a certain number of data that also maybe you have pooled in as proxies, no? Like imagining what the necessity that corresponds to this data could be in the case of a veteran trying to access certain services, no?
Of course, of course. In Ukraine, we have a unified state register of war veterans, which was created with the support of the EGA and the European Union, of course. And we have some veteran ID that consists of all information about veteran, like not only the basic information like name, surname, tax or identified number, but also information about his military service time, etc., etc. It's a lot of information about this military servicemen. And after that, we try to combine a necessary data set for the service itself. Because if we talk about the comprehensive or complex services like veteran path or veteran way it's also not only about the money or some health support that state should provide for this veteran, but also is pension, also is some services that could be provided not only on the state level but the level of the municipality, etc., etc. And it's a very hard processes to communicate with different authorities that has different data, and it's all about the communication issue and trying to combine the very understandable data set, and first of all that will be consist of the existing data, because we don't want to request a data or even documents from the people who want to achieve some services. We want to provide them it in automatic way. And after we decide what type of data set we need to provide the whole complex service for veteran, we starting to create the legislation. It is the next big point. In Ukraine, we have an ability to have such an experiment for 2 years, initiated by the Cabinet of the Ministers of Ukraine, and watch how it will going on. Maybe Irina will talk more about it later, but anyway. And this regulation of the Cabinet of Minister starting the processes of the service provided by the authority. Speaking about the veteran way or veteran pass, it will be as it is a comprehensive or complex services. There is no just one authority that provides this service. But anyway, the Ministry of the Digital Transformation, with the cooperation with the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, are the responsible for this experiment, and also responsible for joining and uniting all authorities that should provide any type of services that include a comprehensive service. So after that, we trying to develop a BPMN scheme to provide them for developers who will understand it and develop service itself. After that, the testing processes begin, and I think about it Irina will talk more. And after alpha beta testing, we should go in production way, and but don't think that the processes of the service and the life cycle of the service is stopped on that level.
No, of
'Cause,
course. Of course it
of
continues.
course. Yeah, of course, because implementation processes only start after the service is exist. And after that, and also after 2 years of the experiment, the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine decided if it was good or not, what we should improve, and maybe we don't need this service anymore. Then the experiment was good, and it's all done. There was not services in my memory that wasn't successful and don't be in a good way.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, we're definitely talking about a process or a path, let's say, of governmental research and development. Let's say a governmental peer review, if we want, as well, of the services that are thought out, and then of the services that then ultimately, as it happened in almost all the cases, as you said, Mikhailo, that ultimately are put out for the people to use. I gotta admit, though, that you were both right in saying that we could be talking about this topic for hours, because time literally flew and I was just looking at the clock. So, Irina, I would actually end this podcast episode with you. Mikhailo, thanks a lot for the explanation, because I think that illustrating this path is really like something that listeners from other governments can treasure, let's say, as an insight from the Ukrainian experience. And Irina, at this point, I would wrap up this podcast episode with something that is connected to this theme as well of lessons learned. We might put it this way. What do I mean with that? We have now learned, obviously, about what has been your process in Ukraine of of ideating, developing, and then implementing a public service. To me, it seems a pretty unique approach, but the fact that it is unique does not mean that it doesn't carry teachings or lessons or insights that governments and decision makers in other countries could actually incorporate in their own processes to deliver services that exactly are also accessible and inclusive and functional and functioning as those that we've been speaking about today. So, Irina, I would say, what do you think are some of the takeaways from this process that, yes, you have seen internally within the borders of Ukraine and within the quote unquote borders of the Ukrainian government, but that you think could actually serve other people in other countries to develop effective and efficient digital services?
It's a very good question, and I will try to give you some insights from our side. And let it be first insight. Government should not be afraid to make experiments. Cutting edge solutions is hard to implement at first. I give an example. Online marriage. Estonia has it, but we moved forward. Now we have online marriage at home. You need only pass a video call and sign in the end application to receive your marriage certificate. And it's for real first in the world solution to make marriage at home or to make marriage in different places for people. For example, our military guys who are on near the front line and they pilot somewhere in Ukraine have an opportunity to become official couple. And for sure, it's cutting edge solution. And we didn't afraid to try to implement it in Ukraine, and now it's one of the most popular way to get married in Ukraine. Next approach, you should have partners in other state agencies. All services are creating together. We should create a unified approach for all ministries, governmental agency, Ministry of Digital Transformation is leading this process, and that's why we have such a center of competence, because we would like to create such an approach for all players in this field. Also, I think you should listen your users. Users know what they want to see, how they want to interact. We only need to propose, analyze, and improve our solutions. And do not afraid to make mistakes. You always have time to redo some things and to achieve success in the end.
Irina, thanks a lot also for the hook, because I will remind all our listeners that we actually have a podcast episode on the digital marriage in Ukraine. Now, if you actually look for it, it's called In a Digital Marriage, where I think one of your colleagues, Igor Podolsky, will actually use the service and recalled his own personal experience of using the digital marriage service. So, Irina, thanks a lot for the hook on that, but also in general. Thanks a lot for joining us today in this podcast episode.
Thank you so much. And I would like to I would like to have online marriage too in this year.
I wish you good luck on behalf of not only the organization, but also like all the listeners. I'm imagining that they also thought, good luck with that. And then Mikhailo, thanks to you as well for joining us today and bringing so much insight into how services come to life.
Thank you, Federica, and also good luck to Irina.
Thanks also to all the listeners who tuned in for today's episode of the Digital Government Podcast. That's it also from your host, Federico Plantera, and I will just see you all at the next episode.
This podcast is brought to you by the eGovernance Academy. Tune in next time.